Um, okay, so first of all, thank you ever so much for all being here today. It really is fantastic to finally be at a launch event for the UK Carbon Reporting Framework. It's been a very long journey, and that started back in 2008 with a BRE Trust-funded research project. At that time, as we still are, BRE were working with a number of large corporates on a variety of sustainability-related issues, including corporate carbon management. One of the things we kept encountering was this demand from these organisations to be able to support projects here in the UK as part of their corporate carbon management strategy. As a response to this, that we went to the BRE Trust with a proposal to carry out some research. The objective being to find out if we could create some sort of formalised process to facilitate support for these projects and see if our anecdotal evidence that there was this considerable demand to do this from corporates was indeed correct. So we interviewed a number of large companies. Some of you are here today, and some of you have gone on to become our partners. And we also met with a number of organisations that represented various carbon reduction sectors, as well as stakeholders such as government and NGOs. Now, Forum for the Future were one of the first partners first organisations that we interviewed, and straight away it became very clear that they shared our vision, and their experiences mirrored ours. As Jonathan has mentioned, their partners were very keen to support UK-based projects. They made it clear that they themselves had looked for a solution to be able to do this, and it's next to impossible to deliver conventional carbon offsets here in the UK. So ultimately, our research findings reinforced our anecdotal evidence. Yes, a majority of companies we interviewed professed a strong desire to support UK-based projects as part of their corporate carbon management strategy in some way or another. So what were the reasons for this? Well, the primary motivation was the opportunity to localise their carbon reduction activity. And of course, it also delivered additional benefits in so doing. Some of the three probably the main ones that we encountered were the opportunity to engage their staff and their customers in their carbon management strategy, creating carbon reductions which can be seen, touched and understood. Secondly, it was about achieving recognition for carbon reductions within their supply chain. And finally, it was about delivering those additional benefits which are associated with good quality carbon reduction projects wherever they are in the world, here in the UK. So examples for the UK context might be alleviating fuel poverty through the energy efficient refurbishment of social housing, or the helping a school to mitigate against the rising cost of fossil fuels through the use of renewable energy. So, you might say, corporates want to support UK-based projects. What's been stopping them? Well, nothing. And of course, many corporates do support UK projects as we speak, and they have very successful initiatives to do that. Some of them, again, some of you are here today. But what our research found was that the barrier to the widespread uptake of that, akin to the widespread uptake of the purchase of carbon credits by corporates, was the lack of some sort of mechanism which would provide recognition for the voluntary, to the voluntary project funder, recognition for the carbon savings associated with their work. And it became clear during our research that this mechanism did not need to deliver conventional carbon credits. Yes, it should address those issues of double counting and additionality, which we all know about. We all know need to be met in order to deliver a carbon credit. But it was inappropriate and unnecessary in the UK context to make projects meet this criteria in order to be supported or promoted even. Quite simply, this was virtually impossible to do. And does this mean the projects not be supported? Well, of course not. Does it mean that the support for that project cannot be counted as a carbon credit? Yeah, absolutely. But did that matter? Well, according to our research, no. So what did our research recommend in order to take this forward? Well, firstly, it was that previously mentioned mechanism to provide companies who voluntarily supported UK-based projects recognition for the carbon savings. This has been delivered, and this addresses those issues so prevalent in UK-based projects, like multiple claims to carbon, like multiple funding incentives. And rather than seeing these as a barrier to progressing the project, because it means the carbon is not clearly additional, because the carbon is double, triple or quadruple counted, we report on these issues. We put them out there, and we leave the judgment as to whether the project should be supported or not, as a result, up to the project supporter. In addition, we tease out of the projects detail on all those additional benefits, all those additional qualities. There's non-carbon benefits associated with the project. We report on these alongside the carbon allocation details. We feel this is really important for providing the full picture, the full story around the project. And there's some fantastic stories associated with the projects we're working with. There's one which will be going on the website later this week. It's a school in Walthamstow. It's not in a sort of relatively economically deprived area. 90% of the children that attend the school they have benefited previously from the educational maintenance allowance. Now what they're going to do is they're going to put in place a large PV array, approximately 70 kilowatts in size, and they're going to use the feed-in tariffs to the tune of £16,000 a year to supplement the EMA which they're losing. And what a great story. You get the educational maintenance allowance is continued, you get the carbon benefits, you get the fact that the school is going to be not having to buy fossil fuel energy, so they're going to be saving financially, you get the educational tool associated with the installation itself, be it for the physics class, the maths lessons, whatever it might be. I mean, that's the sort of project which we can be bringing forward, and it's such a replicable model as well. Secondly, it's about delivering this uniformity in the project criteria to facilitate an easy comparison of projects. This uniformity comes from consistency in the questions we ask of projects as they're submitted. Crucially, this is around how the carbon is calculated, and we do this through the development of standardised carbon accounting methodologies for calculating carbon from different sectors. And finally, we're delivering a searchable database of projects. Currently, this is a map of the UK. There should be 12 projects on there at the moment, and we're optimistic that's going to grow considerably over the coming months. Now, when we talk about the CRF to people, we usually get one of two reactions. The first one, and the one we get most frequently, thankfully, is, "Why shouldn't we be doing this?" It's something along the lines of, "That's fantastic, what a great idea. There's so many projects out there that need funding. I want to get involved." The second, and Jonathan touched on this, is along the lines of, "But that's wrong. It's going to be hard to demonstrate additionality. The carbon's double, triple counted. You shouldn't be doing this. You can't offset in the UK." Well, the simple answer to the second response is, that's quite simple. We understand that, we know that, and this isn't carbon offsetting, so we can really park that position and move on. But it does still raise the question of just what claim can be made to the carbon supported by a project through the CRF. Well, the issue of this, of what claim can be made to the project carbon has been addressed by DEFRA in their corporate greenhouse gas reporting guidance back in 2009. And in there they say that absolutely they support mechanisms which will support UK projects, and why wouldn't they? They've got some incredibly stringent carbon targets to meet, and if they can get help from the private sector to do that, then they'd be crazy not to support it. What they do want you to do is report on the carbon in the appropriate fashion, and that means not taking the carbon savings and taking them off your carbon footprint, but reporting it in a more narrative fashion. It's about reporting on the project detail, talking about how much funding has been provided to the project, talking about the lifetime carbon savings which will be anticipated to be saved, and then reporting on all those additional benefits. And I think you'll agree that that's an approach which is actually very complementary to the rationale for supporting UK-based projects that our research has identified. That is the opportunity to deliver carbon savings, but also additional benefits, and report on those in detail. I think it's very important I say a few quick thank yous as well at this point, because we've, as Jonathan's mentioned and Guy's mentioned, this is very much a partnership. And while it was initiated by BRE, we've only got to where we are today because of our partners. Obviously Deloitte for letting us use this venue, but beyond that, they have provided fantastic technical input, and we really do thank Sally Ormiston, who I can't actually see for that. She's been tremendously valuable for the last 18 months. We really wouldn't be here without her, and in turn, we thankfully have been able to access her colleague Guy Battle's expertise and his colleague Sarah Nolliff, who sadly can't be here today. But seeing as she's in Uganda with mounting gorillas, I'm sure she'd rather be there, quite frankly. Sustainability Consultancy based in Bristol. They've been fantastic, and they've provided technical input on the development of the refurbishment methodologies, and we really thank them for that. Form for the Future. Thank you very much, Jonathan Porritt, for your fantastic speech just now. I think it's we've had a fantastic turnout, and I'm sure it's in no small part to your presence and agreeing to speak here today, and we really appreciate that, your time. Thank you very much. And of course, your colleagues for their technical input. In particular, I'd like to say thank you to Ben Ross and Will Dawson, who are here, who've taken over admirably from Ian Watt, who's been the lead, if you like, from Forum on this piece of work. But again, he can't be here tonight. And again, I'm sure he'd rather be camping in America, where he is at the moment. But a big thank you goes out to them. And finally, but not least, British Airways. We're one of the first companies we met with when we were actually taking this forward. And straight away, they were on the same wavelength. They've got a great appetite to do things here in the UK. And I don't want to steal Jonathan Council's thunder, But I must extend a huge thank you to British Airways, and in particular Jonathan and his colleagues Patrick and Lee. So thank you very much. And on that note, I'll hand over.